True democracy is citizen-led. Politics needs an update. We demand a people's house. We demand a people's house. We are in crisis.
The Labour Party is in crisis, and this is not just another political hiccup. Labour MPs are no longer whispering their frustrations, they are shouting them out loud. The explosive meeting that took place behind closed doors is sending shockwaves through British politics, and the party is on the verge of an all-out rebellion. This is not just about internal disagreements, it's a political civil war that could reshape Labour's future. Labour MPs have had enough, and they are making their anger known in the most dramatic way possible. The internal revolt against Keir Starmer has reached a breaking point, and this isn't just a handful of disgruntled voices, it's a full-scale uprising. We've got all the inside details on how this meeting turned into a battle.
I'm turning first to former Deputy Leader of Reform UK, Ben Habib. Good morning to you, Ben.
Good morning, Matthew.
Well, this must be a very jolly day for you. A very jolly day indeed.
Well, it's a remarkable insurgency that Reform UK has managed. You know, when I joined the party in March 2023, the party was polling at 6%. And when Rishi Sunak called the election on the 22nd of May, we were polling at 16%. So we went up, you know, almost threefold in our polling in a year and a bit.
If you thought your family arguments were tense, this Labour meeting made them look like a peaceful tea party. The room was packed with Labour MPs, most of whom were brimming with frustration, ready to confront their leader head-on. It was a scene of absolute chaos, raised voices, fierce accusations, and an atmosphere so charged you could practically see the sparks flying. One MP stood up and called Starmer a spineless jellyfish, right to his face. The shock was visible, but before he could even respond, another MP accused him of betraying the working class. These weren't just minor policy disputes, these were fundamental questions about Starmer's leadership, his commitment to Labour's core values, and his ability to take on the Conservatives.
You know, you're just spoilers, you're going to split the right-wing vote, you're going to take the Tories out, but you won't get a single seat. And of course, Reform UK got 5 seats in that election. We got 14% of the vote. And
do you think, out of interest, though, that you did split the right vote and that you have helped Labour to maybe a bigger majority than they would have anticipated?
Well, I mean, there were 2 things, I think, that happened at the last election. The first is there was a voter despondency. Voter turnout from 2019 went down from 67.5%.
People standing outside the room heard the shouting reach a volume level that echoed through the open door. People compared the intense shout levels to what happens in full football stadium arenas. This was no regular disagreement, because everyone could instantly tell. Multiple Labour MPs formed an alliance to confront their own leader publicly. While Keir Starmer attempted defence against attacking MPs, it appeared as if he was slowly sinking beneath all the harsh criticism directed at him. The room received his statements with dismissive movements, impatient dismissals, and sceptical eye-roll gestures. Several Labour MPs walked out of the meeting to avoid hearing Starmer explain himself when he tried to defend his actions.
After manifesto, promised to bring net migration to tens of thousands, left office with that number at almost 1 million. The Tories are the ones who brought net zero legislation into being, enshrined it into law. She claimed in that interview that she was the one standing up to net zero legislation. Go and look at the records. Just last year, she voted for the Energy Act, which Claire Coutinho, the net zero secretary, remember it was the Tories who introduced a net zero secretary in the first place, she called it the most significant energy legislation in the country's history. Kemi Badenoch voted for it. Okay. So the idea that she was some lone voice protesting against the disastrous policies that the Tories implemented, that's nonsense. She was in the cockpit with a hand on the throttle, charting a course towards the cliff edge.
The political storm of the meeting left Starmer looking utterly stunned, just like someone who had endured a dire weather event. The instant that shattered the party structure arrived. During the internal crunch, meeting 15 members of Parliament voiced their support for Starmer's resignation. Right there, in front of everyone. A large collective of Labour members publicly announced their belief that their leader was incompetent to hold the position. The message was loud and clear. Many Labour members of Parliament no longer support Keir Starmer.
Musk's opinion has dynamited British politics more than once, in that he's able to engage in front of millions of people and to force a response from government ministers. And intervening in the case of the grooming and rape gangs scandal is only the latest. And in effect, elected politicians in Britain, and also the bureaucracy, are now accountable to one of the world's richest people. And the question is whether this is for the good now.
The MPs from Labour went beyond mere policy analysis. Multiple Labour MPs publicly asked whether Starmer actually had the skills needed to lead the party. Members of Parliament condemned his leadership because he did not handle the government properly and lacked both direction and lost touch with Labour's core supporters. Every day starts with the bitter reality of knowing your team's majority shares the firm belief that your leadership is inadequate and desires your departure, the experience which Starmer faces daily. The British Labour leader faces a peculiar situation when meeting with MPs, because each meeting feels like a metaphorical political whack-a-mole, needing him to dodge criticism.
It's the most important story, in my understanding, in British politics in our lifetimes. I think it will have a far greater impact in the long term than Brexit, for instance, which everyone has thought was the biggest issue of the last decade. And the fact that Elon Musk has forced this back to public attention and is essentially looks like he's going to hold the government and indeed the entire bureaucracy, the police, the Home Office, everybody to account is astonishing.
How do you think Elon Musk is transforming British politics?
Well, thank you, Stephen. It's great to be here. And the first thing I would say is this couldn't have happened without digital technology and social media, and new media in particular. So we are in an uncharted waters, really.
Labour does not experience internal disagreements, but faces a total crisis right now. Labour needs to resolve its internal conflicts quickly because the approaching general election limits its ability to form a cohesive direction. The recent conference shows Labour is more interested in division than unity, despite upcoming elections. Starmer previously drew strength from favourable polling numbers, although that period has receded into history. Latest monthly polling data produced horrific results for Labour. Support for Labour dropped by 10 points in the last 2 weeks. The same rate of support drop has not occurred since the time of the Iraq War. After losing their political protection net, Labour faces certain decline. The public evaluation of Starmer continues to suffer sharply downhill. Labour's approval rating reaches levels which approach underground depths. Public support for root canal treatment exceeds Keir Starmer's current standing in social polls. Support for Labour has been declining even in historic Labour-held areas of Manchester and Liverpool. Certain electoral districts that used to have automatic Labour Party victory seem uncertain now. The arrow kept performed simultaneously with Labour struggling to gain ground. Multiple polling operations are describing Labour's current results as the party's worst performance in the past 2 decades. Young voters are fleeing from the Labour Party at a speed that matches the slang term student loan U-turn. Labour's unfortunate situation escalates when Donald Trump prepares to integrate with the British political scene. Starmer has accepted an invitation to meet Trump. A Labour leader meeting with Donald Trump? It's political suicide. The meeting with Donald Trump has provoked angry strikes from Labour parliamentarians because they see it as a violation of their fundamental values. Several Labour MPs question Starmer's reasoning for greeting Trump, considering the politician represents everything Labour opposes. Everything got even worse after Trump got involved. Publicly, Trump acknowledged that Starmer was accomplishing a very good job. Such an action signals fatal political demise for a Labour leader, according to my analysis. 36 Labour MPs issued an official complaint to Starmer asking for him to terminate the meeting at which the party's attitude towards deportation policies was discussed. Members within this group appear ready to demonstrate against the leader they themselves support, Labour MPs. Protesting their own party leader, you can't make this up. Labour's internal disarray seems beyond control, but it continues to worsen. A faction named True Labour consists of rebel Labour members of Parliament who united as their own political group. A political faction with Jeremy Corbyn ties has launched attacks against Starmer for deserting the working class electorate. These party members urge radical changes to Labour Party policies while actively considering breaking free from their entire institution. And here's the shocking part. So far, 45 members of Parliament have joined this faction. These dissenting MPs form an impressive 20% of Labour's parliamentary force. 20% of Labour's MP roster maintains opposition against Starmer's leadership. Is this situation the most severe internal conflict Labour has faced? This is something far bigger. The Yeti Levies show complete dissatisfaction with Starmer because of his uncertain leadership approach. Apparently, his frequent policy changes served to confuse his own lawmakers about Labour's core values. Did you hear his commitment to remove all university tuition fees? Gone. His pledge to nationalise railways? Disappeared. His clear stance on Brexit? Now, as confusing as ever. Labour Party members in Parliament have taken to secretly calling him Sir Flip-Flop because of his shift in positions. And the Tories? They're loving this. Starmer's shifting approaches have reached the point where Tory politicians have made him into a party game reminiscent of a bingo scheme.